The way John 1 verse 1 has been explained and, in my humble opinion, misinterpreted more times than we can count. Now, before you get too comfortable, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that the way something is explained just doesn't add up? Maybe it leaves more questions than answers or somehow simplifies a concept that is, in truth, much more profound? Well, that's exactly what I felt when I revisited John 1 verse 1. In this video, I'm going to share my personal journey of discovery, my thoughts on how this verse has been traditionally taught, and what I believe is a more nuanced interpretation that might just change the way you think about this incredibly rich piece of scripture. I'm not here to preach or to claim that I have all the answers, but rather to open up a conversation and explore together what it might really mean when we say, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." You see, for centuries, countless theologians and pastors have explained this verse in ways that often seem overly simplistic, sometimes even dogmatic, and not always true to the depth of the original text. Many of us were taught that it was a neat, tidy summary of the Christian doctrine of the Trinity or a clear statement about the divinity of Christ. But what if I told you that there might be more layers to this verse than we ever imagined? Let me share with you how my perspective shifted over time. I remember the first time I encountered John 1 verse 1 in a Sunday school class. I was a kid, and I was struck by the sheer beauty of the words. They felt like a promise of something eternal, something that transcended time itself. But as I grew older and started reading different commentaries, I began to notice that there was a recurring theme, a kind of oversimplification that seemed to box the verse into a single, inflexible interpretation. And that's when I started asking myself, what if we're missing something? What if the true essence of these words is not meant to be confined by centuries of tradition but is instead inviting us to dig deeper, to reflect on what it really means for the Word to have been there in the beginning? The phrase, "in the beginning," itself is a loaded one. It takes us back to the very dawn of creation, echoing the opening words of Genesis, and suggests a timeless presence, something that existed even before the world as we know it came into being. And then we have the Word. Now, in the original Greek, the term used is logos, a word that has a rich history in both Jewish and Greek philosophy. In Greek thought, logos could mean reason, principle, or order, a kind of universal law that governs everything. In Jewish tradition, it could be seen as the expression of God's will, a channel through which divine power is manifested. So when we say, "the Word was with God," it implies a relationship, a sort of intimate connection that defies our human understanding of space and time. It's almost as if the Logos, the divine reason, was a constant companion, an integral part of the divine being, present and active even before creation took form. And here's where things get even more interesting. The verse doesn't stop there. It goes on to say that the Word was God. For a long time, this was taken as a straightforward assertion of divinity, a statement that left no doubt about the nature of Christ as God incarnate. But I've always felt that this declaration deserves a bit more nuance. Instead of simply equating the Word with God, perhaps it's pointing us toward a dynamic interplay, a sort of ongoing creative force that is both immanent in the world and transcendent beyond it. Imagine the Logos as not just a static identity but as an ever-evolving reality that engages with every aspect of our existence. It's as if the very act of creation, the unfolding of time, and the intricate dance of cause and effect are all manifestations of this divine principle. And this is where my own interpretation began to take shape. I started to see John 1 verse 1 not merely as a theological statement meant to confirm a particular dogma, but as an invitation to ponder the mysteries of existence, to appreciate the interconnectedness of everything, and to recognize that perhaps our understanding of divinity needs to be as dynamic and multifaceted as the world we live in. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not trying to undermine centuries of scholarship or the faith of millions. What I'm suggesting is simply that we allow ourselves the freedom to ask questions, to explore alternative interpretations, and to embrace the possibility that our traditional explanations might be a little too neat and tidy for the messy, beautiful complexity of life. In many ways, this journey has been incredibly liberating for me. It's taught me that it's okay to challenge what I've been taught, to seek out the deeper meanings hidden beneath the surface, and to ultimately find a version of truth that resonates more authentically with my own experience. I started diving into ancient texts, learning more about Hellenistic philosophy, and even studying the original Greek in which the New Testament was written. And as I did, I discovered that the concept of logos was far more nuanced than I had ever imagined. It wasn't just a tool for explaining how God could be both transcendent and immanent, it was a profound insight into the nature of reality itself. Think about it, if the logos is seen as the rational principle of the universe, then every time we marvel at the beauty of a sunset, feel the comforting embrace of a loved one, or experience the inexplicable wonder of a random act of kindness, we might actually be witnessing the divine at work in our everyday lives. That's a perspective that invites us to be more mindful, more present, and more appreciative of the world around us. And let's be honest, isn't that something we all need a little more of these days? In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, it's easy to lose sight of the wonder and mystery that lies beneath the surface of everyday existence. We get caught up in our routines, our deadlines, and our digital distractions, often forgetting that there is a deeper, more meaningful reality waiting for us if we only take the time to look for it. I believe that by re-examining John 1 verse 1, we can tap into that sense of wonder once again. We can remind ourselves that there is more to life than the mundane, that there is a beautiful interplay between the seen and the unseen, and that sometimes the simplest statements can contain the most profound truths. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this is all well and good, but what does it mean for my everyday life? And that's a fair question. The answer, as I see it, is that it means embracing a mindset of curiosity and openness. It means being willing to question the conventional wisdom and to explore alternative viewpoints, even if they challenge long-held beliefs. For instance, consider the idea that our understanding of God and the divine doesn't have to be static or rigid. Instead, it can be fluid, evolving along with our own experiences and insights. This approach doesn't diminish the significance of faith, rather, it enriches it by acknowledging that the mysteries of life are as vast and varied as the universe itself. I've found that when I approach life with this kind of mindset, I'm more likely to appreciate the beauty in unexpected places. I start to see connections where I once saw chaos, and I become more attuned to the subtle interplay of forces that shape our reality. It's like tuning into a hidden frequency that reveals a deeper layer of meaning beneath the surface of everyday events. Of course, I realize that this way of thinking might not be for everyone, and that's perfectly okay. There's no right or wrong when it comes to personal belief, and each of us must find our own path. But what I do hope is that by sharing my perspective on John 1 verse 1, I can inspire you to take a closer look at the things you once accepted without question, to dig a little deeper, and to see the world in a new light. One of the things that really struck me during my studies was how many different cultures and traditions have grappled with similar ideas. Whether it's the concept of the Tao in Eastern philosophy or the notion of the divine spark in various mystical traditions, there seems to be a universal recognition that the world is more than just a collection of isolated parts. Instead, it is an intricate web of connections, a dance of energies and ideas that defy simple categorization. And isn't that what makes life so fascinating? The fact that no matter how much we learn, there will always be another layer of mystery waiting to be uncovered. In reflecting on John 1 verse 1, I can't help but feel a sense of awe at the vastness of what it represents. It's a verse that has inspired countless artists, theologians, and philosophers over the centuries, each bringing their own unique perspective to its meaning. And while there will always be debates and disagreements about its precise interpretation, I believe that the true value of this verse lies in its ability to spark wonder and ignite a quest for deeper understanding. Imagine, for a moment, that every time you encounter a well-worn religious phrase or a commonly accepted explanation, you take a step back and ask yourself, is there more to this than meets the eye? What if, by challenging our assumptions, we could uncover a richer, more nuanced tapestry of meaning that speaks to the complexity of our own lives? That's the journey I invite you to embark on with me. I'm not claiming to have all the answers, and I'm certainly not here to dismiss the wisdom of those who have come before me. Rather, I'm here to say that sometimes, the most profound insights come from questioning what we think we know. When we do that, we open ourselves up to the possibility of growth, of transformation, and of discovering truths that are as deep and multifaceted as the human experience itself. I'll be honest, this isn't just an academic exercise for me. It's a deeply personal exploration of faith, doubt, wonder, and the eternal quest for understanding. There have been moments when I felt overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of these questions, and times when I found solace in the idea that maybe, just maybe, our journey is more important than the destination. And isn't that a comforting thought? That even in the midst of uncertainty, there is beauty, purpose, and a kind of gentle assurance that we're exactly where we need to be, learning and growing with each passing moment. As we continue to navigate this complex web of ideas, I encourage you to keep an open mind and to allow yourself the freedom to explore. Whether you come from a place of deep religious conviction or a more secular curiosity about the mysteries of existence, there's something truly magical about the act of inquiry itself. Every question you ask, every perspective you consider, adds a new layer to your own understanding of the world. And who knows, you might just discover a version of truth that speaks more deeply to your own soul than anything you've been told before. Let me share a personal story with you. There was a time when I felt utterly confined by the rigid interpretations of Scripture that I had grown up with. I remember sitting in church, listening to the preacher intone the familiar verses, and feeling a deep sense of disconnect. It was as if I was hearing a beautiful melody played on a loop, but never allowed to experience the full spectrum of its harmonies. Over time, this nagging feeling of incompleteness grew into a burning desire to understand more, to break free of the confines of tradition, and to seek out a version of the truth that resonated with my own experiences. And it was through this quest that I came to re-examine John 1 verse 1. I started asking questions that challenged the status quo, and I began to see that there was a whole world of possibility waiting to be discovered. It wasn't just about affirming a set of beliefs, it was about embracing a journey of continuous learning and self-discovery. In many ways, that journey is still ongoing, and every time I revisit this verse, I'm reminded of just how rich and expansive its meaning can be. One of the most beautiful aspects of this exploration is that it transcends the boundaries of any single faith tradition. The idea that there is a universal principle underlying all of existence is one that can be found in countless cultures and philosophies throughout history. Whether you identify as a Christian, a seeker of wisdom, or someone who simply marvels at the wonder of life, there is something undeniably powerful about the notion that we are all connected by a thread of divine mystery. It's a reminder that our individual experiences, no matter how disparate they may seem, are all part of a larger tapestry. And in that tapestry, every question, every doubt, and every moment of revelation adds to the beauty and complexity of the whole. So, as we come to the end of our discussion today, I want to leave you with this thought: perhaps the true lesson of John 1 verse 1 is not to provide a final, unchanging answer to the mysteries of the universe, but rather to serve as an open invitation to explore, question, and ultimately grow in our understanding of who we are and how we relate to the divine. Life is full of unanswered questions, and that's what makes it so incredibly exciting. There's always something new to learn, always another perspective to consider, and always the possibility of finding a deeper, more meaningful truth that resonates with our own experience. I hope that by sharing my journey and my thoughts on this verse, I've encouraged you to take a closer look at the things you once accepted without question. Challenge yourself to explore different interpretations, to read widely, and to never be afraid to ask, is there more to this than what I've been told? It might just be the beginning of a transformative journey that leads you to a richer, more fulfilling understanding of life and spirituality. As we wrap up, I want to thank you for taking the time to join me on this exploration. If this discussion resonated with you, or if it sparked even a small flame of curiosity, please consider hitting that like button, sharing your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribing to the channel for more conversations just like this one. Remember, every new perspective is a step toward a broader, more inclusive understanding of our world. And if you have any ideas or interpretations of John 1 verse 1 that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear them. After all, it's our collective insights that truly enrich the tapestry of knowledge we're all weaving together. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop looking for the wonder in every moment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.